These protesters have been out on the streets of Islamabad, of the capital, for 2 weeks, completely shutting down traffic, causing economic losses, and having a major breakdown contact between the twin cities of Rawalpindi and Islamabad. Now, there has been a sort of, a dialogue. There was an attempt to make a dialogue between the government and the protesters, because blasphemy laws themselves are a very sensitive issue in the country, bringing out vigilante justice. But these have not come to much. The 23rd of November was the deadline, and early this morning you saw police and Frontier Corps, which is the paramilitary, just come in and shoot rubber bullets into the crowds, into the protesters, and as well as tear gas. Now, what we were hearing, what we were seeing on local media, and what we were seeing on the ground as well, is that the police were actually being pushed back. We've had numbers of over 100 people being injured, including civilians and police and Frontier Corps. But what is something very unusual, which has just happened right before I came on air, was that the Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority just passed an order causing a complete blackout of all local news channels in the country. Now, this is something that's very unprecedented and has not happened, and in at least a decade. The last time this happened was when former President Musharraf called for an emergency in the country, and that's when there was a complete blackout of local media. There aren't any channels airing anything. There aren't any news channels airing anything on Pakistani television at the moment. And, local media, local journalists that I just spoke to right before coming on air, saying that this is just going to add to the rumor mill. This is just going to add to this fear and this unease that is kind of spreading throughout the country, because right before these channels went on air, they were reporting there were protests breaking out in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, which are the three main cities of the country.